Okay, so when you're studying for the test, remember the last thing on here is cell transport video. And Stockton, can you close that door? And it's a video of me teaching exactly what's on your foldable. Okay, so before we take this quiz, remember we went over this foldable. And the two things on this properties of the cell membrane were actually, I know at least, yes, selectively permeable. And what was that? Choosy allows certain things in and out, and also made of proteins and lipids. Okay. Then as far as the active transport goes, there was a question, what's the difference between passive and active? And you told me passive, no energy. Some people said passive, high to low. Active, energy, low, fighting your way into high, okay? Also, you had to know the difference between endo and exo. Yes, on your test, there's some easy questions, as easy as just which one means in, which one means out, endocytosis, exocytosis. Okay, the one that got a lot of y'all, facilitated diffusion will be on your test tomorrow. Facilitate, to help. What helps you? Those protein channels helps you get things through the membrane. Okay, now it's usually bigger molecules and you're still going with the flow. Okay, what got y'all was diffusion and osmosis. So everybody look up here. Particles diffuse. When I spray my perfume, y'all, in my perfume container, that is a lot of particles of perfume. And then when I spray it, it goes from all those particles together and it diffuses outward. So diffusion, they're packed and then they go into a low concentration. They're happy. They don't fight their way into a crowded room. They go from crowded into low, okay? Osmosis is the movement of water. Water goes to the party. You ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. Stay in there for your quiz also. Perfect. Here it is right here. Just grab a pen or pencil and then take it over by the window. Can you do that? So, yep, all the way in the corner. Perfect. Okay, so remember, osmosis goes to the party. So look up here. Question number 1 on the quiz. You had to draw arrows into the box or out of the box. That's where the particles diffused. But then on question like 2, A, B, and C, that was osmosis. Where will the water go? That's what I'm gonna have to review a lot, okay? So before we get into the quiz, let's do some scenarios. So I'm gonna turn my camera over here. Let's see if that even works. Okay, let's see if that holds up. Uh-oh. Oh no. I need to pay a videographer. Okay, so the experiment we're gonna look at is I put corn syrup in a cup with an egg and vinegar in a cup with an egg. Now, vinegar, look at the vinegar container. Are there any particles of anything in vinegar? No, it is pretty pure. What about corn syrup? There's a whole bunch of particles of sugar, okay? So the corn syrup, I mean, that was like literally countless numbers of particles. Now, what is the only particles inside of an egg?
The yolk?
Yeah, so I'm gonna draw like a yolk in the middle here, okay? So the yolk does have some particles, okay? The yolk can't move in and out of the egg, but water can, okay? So when I dissolved the shell off, there was this selectively permeable membrane, just like in your cells, okay? So water was either gonna go into the egg or out of the egg. So look up here. If this is the few particles on the inside of the egg and there's a whole bunch of particles outside the egg, I'm just gonna put a star right there. Water is gonna go to that party on the outside. So when water leaves the egg, what is the new shape of the egg?
Smaller.
Oh yeah, it's shriveled up, and I'm gonna prove that to y'all. Here, and when we're done with the video, I'll let you. So it's literally just a yolk in there. All the water that was outside the yolk has osmosed out. Okay? Okay.
That's cool.
Okay, vinegar, pure nothing, okay? So then you technically have a yolk with particles. So there's technically more particles inside the egg. So water, I'm gonna put a star inside of the egg. Water is actually gonna go inside the egg and it's going to swell, okay? So this is our hyper situation. This is our hypo. Okay, let's check it out. Sure enough. It's so big I don't even know if I could get it. I don't wanna pop it. And we'll play with these at the end of class. Okay. So the particles didn't come in and out, the water osmosed in and out, okay? So it's particle diffusion, like think of a diffuser. There's a whole bunch of the chemical and then it sprays it out. And osmosis is the movement of water, okay? So let's look at these scenarios down here. This will help us answer our quiz questions. Ready? So we're gonna look at this first fish right here. This is salt water, and this is a saltwater fish. Right now it's in a happy, healthy state called what? Homeostasis. Would you say that that fish is hypo, or iso right now?
Iso.
Good. Okay, this is a freshwater fish. Okay, this is the freshwater concentration. This is the freshwater. Is that fish in hypo, or iso?
Iso.
Good. Now, when they ask you, if you switch a freshwater fish to saltwater or saltwater fish to freshwater, let's look at what's gonna happen. The particles are not gonna diffuse in you, y'all. The salt's not just gonna go in you. You're gonna be like, oh, I'm so salty. It's the water is gonna either come in you or go out of you. So ready? Here's the freshwater fish and saltwater. And it could be the same for a freshwater egg, whatever it is. Okay? I'm putting a star, y'all. Here's the particles. Here's where the party's at. The waters go into the party. So, would water go into the fish or come out of the fish?
Out.
Okay, this fish is gonna become hyper or hypo?
Hyper.
Hyper, it's gonna shrink. Okay, here is a saltwater fish in freshwater. Wow, look at all the particles right here. Water's gonna go to the party. That fish is gonna become hyper or hypo? Okay, on your quiz tomorrow, test tomorrow, you may have to draw these scenarios. You got questions? Here, I'm gonna give you a blank quiz. Dolly, where did we put them? I can't remember. You gave them back to me? Okay, perfect. Okay. So, let's turn to our quiz. Here you go. I'm going to switch my camera back to the board. Y'all will have to catch her up. Okay. This is the best it's gonna get. I need to get me one of those, what is it called? Tripods. Okay. Okay. So let's pull up the quiz. Crap. I don't think I have a copy of your quiz, so I'll just use the whiteboard. Okay. So guys, the first question, you have 2 boxes. Got it.
Is that going on YouTube?
Yeah, it goes on my channel. I usually set them as enlisted anyway. Okay, I'm just gonna put a bunch of particles on the inside. Then there was only 3 particles on the outside. A bunch of particles on the outside. just two particles on the inside. Okay. What word did I underline in question number 1?
Diffusion.
So if you always say diffusion, okay, those diffusers, it's the diffusion of particles. So this is going to be the movement of particles. And everything always wants to reach what? Homeostasis, okay? Where do the particles have to go to maintain homeostasis? Good, they need to balance out. What about this situation? Okay, good. Until there's the same amount on the inside and outside, they're imbalanced. Good. So question number 1 was asking for where would the particles diffuse? Okay, next one. Say, say it again.
Do that on
Yeah, on your blank copy, do the right answers. Okay. Let's move to question number 2. For each of the osmosis situations below, use an arrow to indicate the net movement of water. Okay, we're going to do 2. One of them is going to answer today. The other one is going to be for your test tomorrow. So here's the first situation that is for the test. So this is for question number 2. A, B, C. Okay, y'all. If it says 1% sugar and then 5% sugar, and then I'm just going to do 3% sugar, 1% S for sugar, 1% sugar, 1% sugar. Okay, y'all, think of sugar as just one molecule. Ready? 1, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 3, 1, 2, 3. This is 1. Okay, good. Now, where's the party, on the inside or the outside? Water's going to the party. It's going to leave it, and the answer for A should become water. The cell in A for number 3 is hyper because it shrinks, or some of y'all said loses water. Okay. Okay, where's the party in B? Inside, outside?
Inside.
Good. Water's going to go inside, so it's for number 4. It says the cell in B is hypo because it swells, gains water. Okay. I did not take off for C, but this is the correct thing to do for C. 2 arrows, one going in, the other coming out. So it's not no movement, it's the same movement in and out. Okay, this one is iso. Sorry, there's no number for that. The cell in C is iso because it stays the same. Whatever y'all wrote has the same amount inside, outside. That's correct. Okay. I'm going to use a different color pen for this second thing. This is going to help us out with our test question tomorrow. Okay, guys? Here's another scenario. Here's a cup. Here's a cup. Here's a cup. Actually, here's 2 cups, okay? Here's an egg. Here's an egg, okay? I'm gonna tell you that outside solution is 90% sugar and the inside is 10% sugar, okay? What does that mean? There's how many particles on the outside?
90.
And how many on the inside?
10.
Good, okay? How about if I ask it like this? 90% H2O, 10% H2O. Y'all, how many particles are on the outside?
90. Wait, no.
So if it's 90% water, then it must be 10% particles of some sort. Okay, good. So that means that there's only 10 out here. If it's only 10% water on the inside, how many particles must be on the inside?
No.
It's only 10% water.
90.
90. Okay, so where's the party? Inside Okay, so they may say something to you, this is the sugar concentration here and here. They may say this is the water concentration. Y'all, what's distilled water again?
No.
Distilled. It's pure water. Okay, they don't call it pure water, but that's what distilled water is. If you have a question, I will answer you distilled water. Okay, but you still have to know all the vocab. Okay,
And what is purified water?
the same. Okay, purified water may be filtered, but distilled is when it evaporates, gets caught, and comes down as condensation. Distilled water is the purest. Y'all know drinking alcohol is distilled. That's why we can drink it. Rubbing alcohol is not distilled. That's why we do not drink it. Should not drink alcohol at all, but okay. Next ones. Question number 5. This will definitely be on your test. The cell membrane is made up of two biomolecules. Okay, ready? Here's the cell membrane. Now it actually has like a double layer. So have y'all noticed that they're drawing the cell sometimes like this? I don't really care. Okay, this right here is the cell membrane. Okay, what are some things that could also be in the cell membrane? Proteins. So look here, here's a protein tunnel, and now things can go through it. Should sugar ever be in the cell membrane? Y'all, sugar is used for energy. Why would we have sugar in the cell membrane? Juliana, I need you to sit up. Okay. Sugar should be in the mitochondria or the chloroplast. Should DNA ever be in the membrane? No. So the only two things that are in the membrane is the cell membrane is made up of lipids, that fatty acid glycerol, and there are protein tunnels. Okay, number 6, the cell membrane is accepted selectively permeable or semi-permeable. Semi means permeable to some things. Selectively means it's choosy. Okay, this means that the membrane only lets specific things in and out. What does it always let in and out? Small and water. Small particles diffuse, water osmosis. Okay, number 7, diffusion always causes particles to move from a region of high to low. It's high and then it goes to low. Okay. 8, what is the difference between passive and active? Y'all put a lot of answers. Passive, no energy. Active, energy. Passive, high to low. Active can be low to high. Okay. Number 9, what is the difference between endo and exo? Endo brings things in. Exo exits. And is endo and exo a form of active or passive?
Active.
Active. It uses a lot of energy to engulf something. Okay, here's 3 multiple choice questions that are really good. They could be on your test tomorrow. These are good. So ready? Number 1. When a sea urchin egg is removed from the ocean and placed in fresh water, the egg cannot survive. Y'all, so ready? Sea urchin egg. It told you it was removed from ocean, salt water, and placed in fresh water. Which of these occurs, y'all? What's going to happen to the egg? Okay, water's going to go to the party. It's going to swell. Which answer says that? D, hypo. It's going to swell up. Number 2. Oop, I'm going to go backwards. How do I do that? Right there. Which of these best explains why a freshwater aquarium would be a dangerous habitat for saltwater fish? Look up here. You can use this exact same scenario. Why would a freshwater aquarium be a bad place for a saltwater fish? So this, you were able to use the same scenario. Ready? The cells of the saltwater fish would absorb too much acid. When did we ever talk about that? The cells of the saltwater fish would produce too much protein. Do cells produce protein? Ribosomes produce protein. That don't make sense.
Ribosomes.
Yes. The cells of the saltwater fish would consume too much energy. They didn't talk about mitochondria, chloroplast, ATP, okay? The cells of the saltwater fish would gain too much water. Okay, D. Last one. Okay, this was a tricky one, but a good one. Ready? Saltwater fish remove extra salt from their body by active transport through their gills. What is the result of this activity? Y'all look at me. If I said, when you're so cold, you shiver. When you're so hot, you sweat. What is the result of this activity? This is our body trying to maintain homeostasis. Do any of the answers say the saltwater fish is trying to maintain homeostasis? Balance. Good. Okay. Okay. Go to your workbook lesson now. Workbook lesson. Okay, guys, look up here. Homeostasis transport. What kind of transport? Passive or active? Diffusion uses no energy to go from high to low. Osmosis needs no energy because it's the movement of water. Facilitated doesn't need any energy. It's called diffusion because we're using a protein channel. Active uses energy, which is endo and exo. Okay, we've already learned all this stuff. Guys, they're pointing to the particles. So this is looking at particle diffusion. It's going straight across the membrane. Ooh, that looks like endocytosis. Okay? It's coming in endo. If it was going out, it'd be exo. Y'all, look at this. This is a vacuole of a plant. If water is going into a plant vacuole, is that plant cell becoming hyper or hypo?
Hypo.
It's swelling because it's filling that vacuole. Good. These are all good situations. Okay, let's go to these multiple choice questions. These are good questions to see if we know what's going on. Okay, question number 1. Just scoot this here to the side. Okay. Small molecules cross the cell membrane in a process of, so easy, diffusion. Particles diffuse, water osmosis. Plus, small molecules, they don't use any energy. It sure as heck ain't endo or exo or active. Easy peasy. Let's jump over to 4 while it's on the screen. A euglena, oh, I don't even know what an euglena is. I do, but y'all don't. Let's just see what they say. Is a one-celled freshwater organism. Okay, so it lives in fresh water. What does it use to get rid of excess water? A vacuole. So what does it use to get rid of excess water? A vacuole, its cell membrane, proteins, turgor pressure. Okay. What did y'all put?
VO7.
Did anybody put turgor pressure? No, that had to do with the plants and how it kind of was upright, so that's plants. Okay, so a euglena is a one-celled freshwater organism. What does it use to get rid of excess water? Would it use its contractile vacuole or a cell membrane? Who did F? Okay, who did cell membrane? Okay. Can somebody tell me why they picked F?
Because it says why does it use to get rid of excess water? Don't listen to me. Listen to little nose.
I'm just asking y'all. So, why would y'all pick the vacuole? The vacuole stores water.
I didn't really think I got you.
I'm not saying it's wrong. It's probably. I'm just asking y'all.
I should get rid of excess water.
Why'd you pick cell membrane?
I just thought it was, I don't really know.
Well, that thing that we talked about with the vacuum and stuff is
It stores water. Okay.
The last one.
So this is why, look up here, this is what I would pick as a teacher. So the vacuole stores water, but what gets rid of the water? It just goes through the cell membrane. Now, the contractile vacuole contracts and it could cause influxes. So I would actually accept both answers. The vacuole stores the water and it could contract and make more water go in or out, but it's a cell membrane that technically water just goes in and out as it pleases. The vacuole holds the water, okay? I accepted both of these. That's not gonna be on your test, that's pretty difficult, okay? Next one. In the process in which organisms maintain a stable internal environment while living in a changing environment is called. So how do you maintain stability? Through homeostasis. Okay, so you go through osmosis. Ooh, equilibrium. Both of these sound very like homeostatic. The process in which organisms maintain stable internal environment while living in a changing environment is called homeostasis. Okay, because that is the process. Equilibrium is when you are exactly the same on both sides. Ooh, if you would have hit equilibrium before homeostasis, some people might have picked it. Okay, up here, which one did you pick? Good. Okay, which is not an example of active, so using energy. Y'all look up here. Osmosis, moving of water, don't use energy. A plant taking in nutrients, endo, exo. Which is not an example of active. Okay, we know endo is, we know exo is, we know osmosis isn't, but some of y'all may get thrown out on B. This is the deal. A plant taking in nutrients. So osmosis is the correct answer. But a plant taking in nutrients, I wish it would have said plant taking in excess nutrients, because then it would be like pumping in extra against the gradient, okay? Because you had to have known osmosis definitely was diffusion, that's the right answer. They're trying to trick you with B. Okay, next one.
There's a lot of trick.
I'm telling you, that's their job, is to try to trick us. Okay, next one, facilitated diffusion. Okay, how do we get facilitated? With a protein channel or a protein tunnel. It's called diffusion, so it's no energy. It's also still going. High to low. Okay. Is the same as endo? No. A special kind of osmosis, it's diffusion, it's particles. A process that requires cells' energy? No. A process that requires a protein channel. A type of passive transport? Yes. Okay. Which can cause your body temperature to increase? Why would we have a body temperature increase? Why would we have a fever? Being out in the sun for too long? Okay. Staying in a sauna or a hot tub? Okay. Playing a very strenuous game of tennis? Okay. Having a fever or an infection? Which can cause your body temperature to increase? What'd y'all put?
Having
Yeah.
fever.
So this is the deal. Man, this is so tricky. All of these hit you on the outside. If this is so gross, y'all, don't quote me on this, but animals, we have to take their rectal temperature a lot just to get a good temperature. You could be playing tennis, you could be out in a hot tub or a sauna. If you would take something's rectal temperature and get all the way in there,
It's nasty.
it is. Animals, you have to do it a lot. Vets and all this stuff, you got to do it. But this is the deal. The outside of you is really hot for this, but the inside is homeostatic. Having a fever, your whole body has a fever. Okay, so J, I think is the best answer. I don't love it, but okay. Let's go to the next set. We're only going to do a few on this next one that pertain to this lesson. Okay, number 1, which statement is true? Equilibrium results when the concentration of particles in the cell membrane is different Equilibrium is equal. Equilibrium results when materials spread out from areas where there are more of them to areas where there are fewer of them. Equilibrium results when materials move across the cell membrane without using energy. Equilibrium results when the concentration of particles in the cell membrane is the same throughout the space the particles occupy. Which one y'all pick?
D.
Yeah, I like that one the best. These may happen, but I think this is the best definition of equilibrium. When materials spread out from their areas of more of them
Yes.
to there are fewer of them. So y'all, B kind of sounds like you're diffusing out. Equilibrium results when the concentration of particles in the cell membrane is the same throughout the space. Woo! Yeah. Y'all, equilibrium results when the concentration of particles in the cell membrane. No. Okay. Let's go back to B and C. Did y'all pick B and C? Equilibrium results when materials spread out from areas where there are more to areas where there are few. Equilibrium results when the materials move across the cell membrane without using energy. Okay. What'd y'all pick, B or C?
C.
Back row, what'd y'all pick? Don't. Okay, equilibrium results. Okay. So, this is why I hate these. Y'all, B and C are the most correct because technically, look up here. Equilibrium results when materials spread out from areas where there are more of them to fewer of them. So it's almost like spreading out, okay? But they're not really talking about equilibrium. It's kind of like maintaining an equal spreading out diffusion, okay? C, equilibrium results when materials move across the cell membrane without using energy. That's just osmosis and diffusion. I think it's B and C. That's why I hate these. Okay, y'all, like I said, A is not right because of the word different, and D, y'all, it would be right if it didn't say in the cell membrane. If it would say in the cell, it would be different, yep.
So, don't be mad at me, but I didn't know this question, so I looked it up, and it told me D.
So equilibrium results in the concentration of equilibrium results when the concentration of particles in the cell membrane. Okay, is anything in the cell membrane?
The nucleus.
No, in the cell membrane.
Oh, no.
So that's why, y'all, if you would cross out the word membrane, that would be correct. But nothing is in the cell membrane. So guys, look up here, y'all. This right here. This is why people have to be very particular with their words. Y'all, this is the cell membrane. They're talking about something in the cell membrane. It's different if they're talking about inside the cell and outside the cell. Nothing should ever be in the cell membrane. So, to me, B and C, and this is why I'm very particular about what I put on tests. B and C are true. D would be the best if it did not have the word membrane. Inside the cell versus outside the cell is good, but nothing should ever be in the cell membrane, okay? If they meant inside the cell, that's true, but they said in the cell membrane. You'll look up here. Do you see that there's space in the cell membrane? There's technically space in the cell membrane. Look up here. What is one thing that is in the cell membrane that we learned about this unit? Proteins. So technically, things can be in the cell membrane. Y'all, this is why STAAR tests are so tricky. Okay, almost done. Okay. In what process does a vesicle join with membranes? Okay, 2. In what process does a vesicle join with the cell membrane and release its contents outside of the cell? What'd y'all pick? For 2.
For 2, G.
G.
Two?
Exocytosine.
Good. So, and release its contents to the exo. Okay? Exo, outside. Okay. 3. I gave y'all 3. That was B, 20 amino acids. That was from a different unit. Which statement is true? Okay. 4. Which statement is true? Large molecules can only pass cell membranes by osmosis. Water's osmosis. F is false. Okay. Water molecules. Large molecules can only pass cell membranes by facilitated diffusion.
No.
I don't like that one. Large molecules can only pass cell membranes by binding with the substances in the cell membrane.
No.
Like fusing with the cell membrane we talked about. Large molecules can only pass the cell membrane by endocytosis and exocytosis. This is the best one. Because endocytosis and exocytosis is kind of fusing with it. So, J, y'all.
A2.
This is the last one, 2 more. What occurs when carrier proteins form channels or pores filled with water?
I picked C.
Hey, we didn't learn this one. This isn't. Hold on. What occurs when carrier proteins form channels? Oh, when proteins, form channels or pores filled with water. Molecules cannot diffuse to the cell membrane. Y'all, small molecules can always diffuse. Molecules get trapped in the water and cannot pass. Molecules can pass in us. So they're making protein channels. I don't like the way this is worded, but it is C. Last one. Which group of organelles is important for protein production?
H.
Ribosomes make the protein, ER fixes the protein, Golgi sends the protein, H. Okay. Let's see how long this video is. I'm gonna post it. Your only job tomorrow, 30